Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, today we are going to talk about, actually I shouldn't say today because there's like 3 videos that'll have gone live today, so we're going to talk about in this video specifically CD Projekt Red getting sued, or getting sued by the creator of The Witcher. It's kind of a messy situation. So the guy who makes The Witcher books, which for those of you who are not aware, and is probably most of you, the books came before the game, but the game is more or less what even got the books kind of on the map, because the Witcher games took off. Not so much the first one, second one got pretty popular, and then the third one just blew up to be one of the biggest RPGs of all time, and the most beloved. So, here's the thing though, alright, you ready for this? Back in the day, way back in the day, when they were obtaining the rights to the Witcher books to do them as a video game, the guy who writes the Witcher books actually sold them the rights to make the game for about 10 grand. Yeah. They actually offered him royalties based on sales, but he stated he didn't think these would be successful. He doesn't really like video games. He just wanted it to be a one and done. And at that time, The Witcher wasn't really a booming book series. It was pretty much nothing. It may have been mentioned amongst people who absolutely were die-hard fantasy book readers. It's probably really the only circles it really came up in. So now, he is saying that, keep in mind, he had done interviews where he had stated, you know what, I screwed up, I shouldn't have agreed to that little. They did a great job on the games though, yada yada yada. He is now suing them for $16 million. I couldn't resist, sorry. $1 million. So, he's now pressing a lawsuit against them, and it was kind of a shitty little lawsuit. A lot of it's based on where their locale law kind of screws up copyrights, where over time a copyright owner can request more compensation if they feel they were unjustly compensated, which he wasn't. He was actually offered other compensation. These games took off because of CD Projekt Red, not because of him. The other messed up part in the lawsuit is he tried saying that those games would be nothing, they wouldn't even be popular. His books are what made them popular. Because that's probably false. You should probably be thanking CD Projekt Red for making your books popular. Because it worked vice versa, by the way. And I can tell he probably has no idea about that, because The Witcher 3 released like 3 or 4 years ago, and he's just now pressing a lawsuit. Like, dude, you are really out of touch. And it's funny because I would think that this dude would be at least appreciative of the care that was taken of the game, especially because he screwed himself in this. You should have taken the royalties path. You went with upfront gratification. Now you're bitter. So now he's over here. Also, he wrote in this that he was going to, we can keep this quiet and settle outside of court unless you disagree, and then I'll go public with all this. So CD Projekt Red made the letter he sent them public along with their response. Good job, CD Projekt Red. They did state that they want to come to an amicable resolution to this situation. What that might be at this point is kind of hard to tell, especially because you already kind of signed a contract. Like, he signed a contract for $10,000 is what he agreed to. Now, unfortunately, their copyright law doesn't really work the same as the United States copyright law does, and we're not really going to go too much into that, but there are a lot of different ways that he's able to push against this. But with the contract that he agreed to, and seeing as that it was his own decision, not theirs, they actually tried to offer him more. I can't see it really backfiring on CD Projekt Red, but he I'm just kind of really shocked about this, especially because the first game really didn't take off. I mean, it was kind of a cult PC hit at the time. Even the second one would kind of, it just barely kind of passed like cult hit status. But the third game became one of the biggest RPGs, and I'm sure that the second game probably sold astronomically better after all that. Also, just to add to this, I'm a big fan of the Metro games. They're also based off of books. The gentleman, I'm not going to try to say his name because it's a very Russian name, who wrote the Metro books actually kind of weighed in on this topic where, you know, his books got made into games. He was smart enough, though, to sign for royalties, not up front. And he kind of stated, you know, that the guy who wrote the Witcher books is an idiot. He was like, my books would have never taken off as well as they did until the games came out. He was like, the games brought a lot more awareness to my books. And that's the thing here, is books are a shrinking medium, especially amongst adults who don't really have quite as much time as they used to. Especially if you work a lot, you have kids, maybe you run a YouTube gaming channel. And so I listen to mostly audiobooks at this point. That's typically how I digest a novel nowadays. Not because I don't like to read, just because I don't really have as much free time to read, but I have a good 35-40 minute car drive to and from work every day. So typically I can get through a book in a week that way. So I just thought it was really interesting, though, that he even kind of called it out, like, you should be pretty happy that they're drawing this kind of attention to your books. And that's a really fair point, if you think about it. He might not really understand that your books weren't what made your books sell. I'm sorry. I understand you created the thought of this, and even Projekt Red said, you know, we want to be really respectful of any art or authors that inspire us, and that's kind of why they're looking for an amicable solution and resolution to this debacle. But it's really hard to feel bad for the dude when it was his own stupid decision. Yeah, he got hosed, but it was his own fault that he got hosed. They originally offered him royalties. Like, that's what they went with. He wanted a lump sum up front. He chose this. Like, you literally chose the dumb option, and now you're mad about it. Cool. Got it. Understood, man. But I was probably going to pick up and read some of the Witcher books, or listen to, in my case. I just don't think I am now. I'm good. Thanks. I kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I kind of think you're probably a shitty person now. Don't get me wrong, I probably would have thought you could have went to Projekt Red rather than making this a whole legal thing and said, hey, you know, is there any way you guys want to toss me any more money for this? I'm pretty sure they probably would have just been amicable about this to begin with, but you decided to legally go after them, invoking a whole bunch of articles. God, I hate other countries' laws. They can be really confusing and hard to understand. Hell, even some of ours here in the United States can be. Guys, I would like to hear your thoughts down in the description, or in the comments down below, because I am really curious. Do you think this is mostly his fault? I mean, he's the reason why he didn't get any more money. It was literally his choice. They didn't even when they approached him, it wasn't even like they were like, hey, you want just a lump sum? That was his choice. So, I'm just kind of curious to where you guys sit on this. Did you hear about the Witcher books before the game? Did you know the books came before the game? That's also another very important question here in this particular debacle, because, again, if they made him more money, I don't really think his grounds on his argument stand. But I will see you all soon. I'll have plenty more content coming for you. And again, don't forget to let me know what you guys thought down below. If you want to follow me anywhere else, that's all in the description box down below. Also, you know, my gaming systems I game on, all that stuff's just down there. And if you really enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a thumbs up. You can also click that subscribe button and ding that little bell. It'll let you know when I upload content. If you don't ding the little bell, I'm just gonna kind of sit in your subscription box until YouTube decides to auto unsub you. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. I'll have plenty more coming for you.